Bring in Congressman Greg Steube, Republican from Florida. You're about to walk into the hearing. Seems to me, Greg, that there are three choices as to what you want to do with them. You can break them up, you can tax them to death, or you can re-regulate them big time. Does any one of those options appeal to you, Congressman?
Those three things don't appeal to me as a member of Congress. I certainly don't support increasing taxes. I certainly don't support increasing regulations on businesses. I think we should do the opposite. And I'm not one in the camp with the Democrats to think that we need to break up private companies. I'm going to go down the line of asking questions as it relates to censoring conservative news sites, censoring conservative talk. We saw recently that there was a letter from employees at Google to their CEO basically saying we don't want to have police officers with Gmail accounts. We don't want to provide them services through Google. And those are the type of things that I intend on asking in the hearing.
What could you do about that? I take your point. Censorship of conservatives, it seems to be rife across the board here. But what can you actually do about it?
Well, I think bringing to the surface what's really going on in these companies, which I think that letter to the CEO illuminates the position politically of some of the employees at Google, 1,600 of them that don't clearly support our law enforcement agencies. I think bringing awareness to that, and I think a lot of people certainly in my district have always believed that conservative voices are thwarted and there is bias in Google and Facebook and some of these other big tech companies. And I think bringing that to the surface is very important to do, and asking them to be accountable. We have the First Amendment in our Constitution that gives everyone the ability to speak their mind and free speech, and I don't think that these tech companies should be stifling that speech.
I'll second that, sir, big time. Thank you very much for saying it. Now, you were at the hearing with Attorney General Barr yesterday. I know you saw this, but for the benefit of our viewers, I want to play some sound from the interaction going on and get your response later. Roll the tape, please.
What makes me concerned for the country is this is the first time in my memory that the leaders of one of our great two political parties, the Democratic Party, are not coming out and condemning mob violence and the attack on federal courts. Why can't we just say, the violence against federal courts has to stop? Could we hear something like that?
He asked the question. I don't think there was much of a response. You come from a law enforcement family. What do you think about that interaction there from AG Barr?
Well, not a single Democrat was willing to call the violence that we're seeing in these cities for what it is, and that we need to have federal law enforcement officers to protect our federal buildings, to protect our federal monuments, and for the rule of law. You're not hearing a single Democrat talk about that. In fact, they brought up video of peaceful protests. Mr. Jordan, in the beginning of the hearing, showed video of all the violence, actual footage, black and white and in color, all across the country of what is actually happening in some of these cities, and the Democrats are trying to cascade it as a peaceful protest. We know these are not peaceful protests. Yes, there are peaceful protests that have occurred, but when they turn violent, you need to condemn that violence, or you're encouraging that behavior. And from a law enforcement family is a father who is a sheriff and a brother who's a deputy. Our officers' lives are at risk because there are leaders in this country that are not condemning violence and encouraging this behavior.
Give me 20 seconds on whether or not you think this is an issue in the election in November.
Absolutely, 100% think it'll be an issue in November. I don't think that moderates and independents in Florida and across this country think it's okay to defund police and attack police officers and attack federal property.
Greg Steube, we won't keep you any longer. I know you've got to get to the other hearing, and thanks very much for joining us today. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.